May 20th, I'm calling to order the Board of Equalization. A copy of Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the county boardroom. Today we have with us Commissioners Kelly, Burmeister, Warren, Mixon, and Klug, as well as Bonnie Moore, our County Administrator, Kenna Kaler from the Clerk and Register of Deeds Office, Jason Carter from the Treasurer's Office. Don't see Dan here today, and that should do it. If you could, please silence your cell phones and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I did miss him the first round. Sheriff London is here with us as well. At this time, I'd like to open up for public comments. Is there anybody that would like to speak to the board before we move on to the rest of the agenda? All right, seeing as none, agenda item 5 is the consent equalization agenda.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion by Kelly, second by Burmeister. Any further discussion? Please vote. Oops.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Agenda item 6 is executive session, which I don't believe we need this afternoon. So all agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Equalization is adjourned. All right, the time is now 3:01. I'm calling to order the Board of Commissioners. Once again, we have with us Commissioners Kelly, Burmeister, Warren, Mixon, and Klug, as well as our County Administrator, Bonnie Moore, Kendra Kaler from the Clerk and Register of Deeds Office, Jason Carter representing the Treasurer's Office, and Sheriff London. Again, I'd like to open up for public comments. Agenda item 3, is there anybody from the public that would like to address the board before we move on with the rest of the agenda? Seeing none, we'll open up to commissioners, administrators' comments and announcements, starting with Commissioner Kelly.
I'm good, thanks.
None, thanks.
I do have a comment. I'm a little prejudiced in this. I spent a short period of time as club president for the Gretna Soccer Club. Our youngest daughter was goalkeeper coach for Gretna a few years ago, before she started having grandkids. Yesterday, Gretna East girls soccer team ended their undefeated season with a shutout win in girls state Class B championship. In that sentence is staggering enough. Consider this. The team seniors won 4 straight titles, 4 in a row. 2 at Gretna High and then 2 for Gretna East after it opened. During their high school playing career, these seniors won, I think it's 84, but over 80 games. They lost 1 game.
88, I believe.
Yeah,
sir.
whatever the number. I mean, it's,
I'm helping you out.
yeah, thank you. Don't take that as anything that he might help. That's an amazing career. 1 loss in 80-plus games. That's absolutely unheard of in soccer or any other sport you're going to be involved with. I want to congratulate this incredible special team led by Coach Chase Hutchinson. Coach Hutchinson has been a part of the championship teams at Gretna High as well as Gretna East. We're lucky and very fortunate to have him in the community. I also want to make a special mention, although it's hard to mention one player on a team, I'd like to make a special mention of Sonora DeFini, one of the seniors. I saw in the news quote yesterday on, I think it was Channel 7, and she was saying that she's a person who hates to lose. I love that concept. Hates to lose. She says, and how she tries to finish every goal so that can help put her team in a place to win. I think everyone can appreciate that sentiment. Sonora is off to Oklahoma State to play soccer, where she'll continue to represent the Gretna as well as Sarpy County. We're very proud of her as well as her teammates. Congratulations. Now let me add, I'm a dragon. It's pretty hard to say good things about Gretna East because there's an amazing competition. But when we win, we all win. So thank you very much.
I hope I wasn't wrong. I think it's 88, but it could be 84. But yeah, I'd second that. What an accomplishment, and that's just awesome. And even though I'm not a big Gretna fan, but I have to give them their due. That's an amazing accomplishment. The other comment I have is, since we won't be here next week, it'll be Memorial Day. And I just want to give a shout out for all of our veterans, past, present, future, and all of your relatives that you'll remember this Memorial Day. I know Commissioner Kelly usually is out at the Omaha National Cemetery for the service on Memorial Day, where he has been in the past. I usually go up to St. John's Cemetery, and they have a 10 o'clock mass every Memorial Day, and it's absolutely beautiful. So get out and remember all of the ones that sacrificed for us, military and your family and friends. Thank you.
No comments, thank you.
Thank you. I just reflect Commissioner Mixon's comments for Memorial Day. It's definitely a good day to, one, enjoy off, but two, remember how we got here. And clearly all of us that are in this room and in Sarpy County get to enjoy the life that we do because of those that have come before us and those that are serving right now. The fact that we can sit up here and as an elected body, it's a testament to those that came before us. And we're all certainly walking on the shoulders of giants from previous generations. So definitely please take the time to spend the time to think about that and certainly enjoy it with your family as well. With that, we'll move into agenda item 5, presentations. 5.1 is the Sarpy County and Cities Wastewater Agency quarterly update. Dan Hoynes and Kendra, my apologies if I'm throwing you a curveball. We're going to add 7.1 to this as well to go over the budget for them and approve that.
Sounds good. Thank you. Thanks, Dan.
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Commissioner. Lower right, you said there? Upper right. The one with DH behind it? The one with DH behind it? Thank you, Chairman Klug, members of the Sarpy County Board, Dan Hoynes, Sarpy County Cities Wastewater Agency Administrator here for a quarterly report. A little bit of ahead, but we're doing two things today. My quarterly report, approval of the budget. So I'll reduce the 3-page single-space report that I shared with Chairman Kelly earlier today to 3 slides, the important things, but always available for questions here. So the WIFIA loan, that's always the important thing, I think, for this board. So all of our current previous financial projections have anticipated using the full $45 million loan. As of April 30th, the agency has drawn down on 17.7 of the $45 million loan to reach substantial completion of Phase 1A. That's the first phase, the 17.7. We anticipate an additional $3 million in cost. So that puts us close to about $20.7 million of the WIFIA loan that we anticipate. It's a safe assumption that we're not going to end up drawing on this whole WIFIA loan. So subsequent to this discussion, I'll be scheduling a meeting with Bonnie and her team to talk about the path forward and what remaining amounts may be with that loan, and then we will amend our financial projections to lower that. And what that's going to do, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that curve in 2031 that would drop down on our debt service at 1.1 will be higher. And so we'll be working with Bonnie to talk about how we finish this up and move forward. Now, I put this map up here for a reason. This is what's left. So the yellow line, commissioners, is what is actually in the ground, 42 miles worth of sewer pipe and cold water blowdown pipe. We've talked about that. That's actually operational, working today. The yellow line. So the next phase by the agency board, that if we had the funding, would go build the blue lines, also referred to as Phase 1B in this project. You've got about $19.8 million down here in Springfield. You've got 17.6 up here in Papillion, and then you've got a smaller blue line over there in Bellevue, Bellevue's jurisdiction. And then you have the green line. The sum of all of this up here in the corner, Mr. Chair, members of the board, is that it's about $263 million. We spent roughly $150 to get to the next phases. We've always thought and known this would be driven by development, funded by development, not tax dollars. So we're working with the agency members on funding strategies that involve pioneering and reimbursing agency members to come in and work and partner with the agency to build those blue and green lines instead of going and borrowing more money. You're going to hear from our treasurer here in a few minutes. I think we've done pretty well, although it's still very early. We're in a really good cash position. Our revenues are exceeding expectations, and we hope to trend that. More. So yeah, the last bullet point I already mentioned, 2025, we did ask for a loan modification of 13.7, but we were advised by WIFIA that we can't use $6 million to actually go out and acquire the easements because you need a construction plan. But to get right down to the bottom of this, we anticipate use of the loan funds will be significantly less. Again, we'll get agenda bonding I'm working with. I'll send you here in the next couple of days, and then we'll get that meeting scheduled. So that concludes my portion. Again, could probably sit up here and talk for a while. I will put one shameless plug in. June 9th, we are having our commissioning ceremony, also referred to as First Flush. We formally have been flushing since December and receiving flows, but I think the significance of this out on site, Governor Pillen, Senator Holcroft, certainly you folks, just take a few minutes to come down. Chairman Keller will be emceeing the ceremony to recognize that accomplishment. Go out and kind of walk that area and see how it's significantly changed in what we're doing. So I'll pause my comments and answer any questions you may have.
Who gets to pull the plunger?
That would be Chairman Kelly of the agency, so.
I'll defer to the governor.
I have a couple of questions. One, can we get these, when you give these, do you give these slides to Bonnie ahead of time?
Just yesterday I did, actually, so.
Okay. I think it'd be good if they were on the agenda, included on the agenda, because I do have people ask me things about the status of the agency, and then we can just refer them to look at the online version. So it'd be good if we had those in there. So just looking at the summary on the, are we on the budget too? Or are we doing these together?
That's a separate agenda item, I think,
Okay.
Commissioner, so.
Then I'll wait till you're done with the next
Okay.
one.
Can we get those added after the fact? Okay, good.
And I'll try to get them there a little ahead of time. It's always try to coordinate what I think you'll need with what Bonnie needs and my ability to finish them. And those don't always align, but we'll do better.
Any other questions for Dan? If none, we'll go ahead and jump right to 7.1 with the regular Commissioners' agenda. Resolution 2025-105, Sarpy County and City's Wastewater Agency fiscal year 2025 and 2026 budget. Once again, still here, Dan Hoynes.
Thank you. And I'm going to defer and I'm going to ask Mark Setout, our agency treasurer since last October, to come up. He started with us. He's just a part-time treasurer, working about 25 to 30 hours per week on site with us. He's got a really good grasp. Comes from the private sector primarily, but strong accounting background. It's been interesting getting his private sector experience with merging it into the government speak, but I think we're aligned where he's comfortable and I'm really comfortable. He's getting the line item details, so I'm going to ask him to present the budget. So, Mark?
Welcome.
Thank you, Dan. Good afternoon, Sarpy County board members. My name is Mark Setout, the wastewater agency treasurer. This is the budget presentation that I gave to the Wastewater Agency Board back in March. The fiscal year 25-26 budget reflects the agency's shift away from primary construction phase of the project and into the start of the operations phase. At the end of this current fiscal year, June 30th, 2025, we project that the agency will have over $10 million in cash on hand. This future budget utilizes $934,000 from that cash on hand to fund operations throughout the 2026 fiscal year. The agency's financial modeling has always projected and intended to use cash on hand to subsidize the first few years of operations as we work to stand the system up and start generating sustainable levels of connection fees and rate revenues. As we get to the end of the current fiscal year, the agency did collect a significantly higher amount of connection fees than projected for the period, and we are seeing some indications that that trend may continue. However, we believe there are too many external variables at this time to project the 25-26 connection fee numbers any differently than they are currently budgeted. So what does that mean? We are anticipating a higher amount of connection fees, but cautioning that past performance does not guarantee future results. I'm going to run through a few slides highlighting some of the line items most affected by this change as the agency transitions from construction to operations. We see income reduced significantly because we are no longer borrowing as much money for construction. We see expenses reduce by a modest amount as we still have design, permitting, and easement costs, as well as operations and maintenance costs for the year. In this budget, we are still planning to use the remaining WIFIA funds to cover the planning costs for Phase 1B and Phase 2. This slide shows the data in chart form. So the green column is the 25-26 budget numbers. And then moving to the right, we have 24-25 numbers. And then we have the change in dollars and the change in percentage. We project that the revenue from connection fees and flow rates will cover our debt service obligations for the year. As the agency is better staffed, and we transition out of the main construction phase, we will be able to reduce our need for outside consultants and significantly reduce the capital project costs. This chart shows a small surplus for the period from the connection fees and rate revenue after debt service obligations are met, as well as the change year over year for outside consultants and project costs. O&M budget is reduced by 19%, while O&M equipment increases by 86% as we look to purchase a Bobcat and a UTV. Dollar-wise, this is still about $100,000 net reduction for these two line items. And the chart shows the change year over year. Next up. So personnel and benefits costs will increase by almost 12%. This is due to personnel adjustments and usual cost increases year over year. And this chart shows the change from the previous year in dollars and in percent. So the full budget with year over year comparison and line item detail is available for your review. These are the items from the budget we wanted to highlight for you today. As the agency flows into the operations phase, we will continue to monitor and optimize the agency's financial models as we gather more historical data and are able to forecast future revenues and expenses. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
appreciate you being here. The biggest thing, and you touched on it a little bit, at least from my perspective, and I don't think I stand alone with this, is would love to see as the numbers come in more the projected versus actual based upon the projections before the project really started, and how close we are, or the agency is to meeting those numbers would be greatly appreciated at both the quarterly meetings with Dan as well as the budgetary meetings with you. So appreciate your time coming in today.
Thank you.
On the personnel cost increase, are there any new people there? Are there any additional people, I guess, not just replaced people, but additional?
The agency secretary came over full-time, so we assumed that cost.
So that's
Plus,
part
the
of it.
treasurer's job was handled by a third party in previous budgets, which it's now in-house.
Got it. So that would reduce on one other line item, right? And
Yes,
Add to the-
for outside consultants.
okay, perfect. And on the connection fees being higher than originally thought, is that solely because of more fees, more connections than was guessed, or is there something else in that number?
Most of that is derived from Meta. But it's basically about timing. We have the calculation for how much connection fee we're going to get out of the acres that are in the jurisdiction, and it's just kind of getting it sooner than we had anticipated, which helps us get past that pinch point that we've discussed.
Got it. So I'm trying to figure out, are we ahead of the game in terms of, take Meta out of it, are we ahead of what the projections were in terms of development, or are we on track, or where are we?
Yeah, so we're still ahead. With Meta, we're like 380% over what we had projected. So even taking Meta out, we're still over those projections, and they were very conservative as we get started in the first few years.
Perfect. Thanks.
Mark, I have a question for you. On the first slide, it says income reduced by 66.8%. That's 44.5 million. What are you using for income? And then, because on the second page, then you say revenue, and that says 22 million. So are you including any of the WIFIA loan in income?
Yeah, so the way that the budget is set up is that we are including the loan amount in our budgeted income. But revenue is strictly talking about revenue that we brought in.
But a loan isn't income?
No, it's not.
Okay, so the first page does include the loan. The second page on revenue doesn't include the loan proceeds. So which one includes just the connection fees and the flow revenue? Which number?
Actually, I think that revenue is also including the loan amount that we're anticipating for 25-26. So that's the way that it was set up for 24-25, is to include the loan amount.
So would it be possible just to get an updated slide that shows actual expenses and revenue, which would be flow revenue and connection fees?
Yeah, I can get that for you.
Thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Mixon. Any additional discussion?
Just a comment. I mean, the big number on there was like 250 million or something, right? The total cost of the project.
The reference to remaining
Yeah.
for phase one being phase two, yes.
Yeah, that was 250 million.
Correct.
Yeah, so obviously the challenge over the coming years and decade is going to be to figure out how we accelerate the construction of those sewer systems without tapping into property tax revenue. So the agency's been spending a lot of time working on that, and it's too early in the sausage making to really, tip the hand, so to speak. But I can assure you that it's being worked because we have to get out to Gretna. I mean, we have to, because that's the fastest growing area of the county, and that's the area that needs it the most. So I think there'll be some interesting years ahead as we work through the process to accelerate this. I mean, when we originally planned it, you guys probably were, most of you were here, so. I mean, we were thinking 25, 30 years, but the growth will be here in 2.5 or 3 years. So we really got to figure that out. So if you ever get an opportunity to talk to state senators or people in the state, the governor, don't miss the opportunity to remind them that this project is been studied and shown to be a almost $16 billion economic impact to the state of Nebraska. And I don't know of any project going on in the state right now that can even come close to that. So don't be embarrassed or shy to lobby for assistance from our state elected officials.
Dan, the development community and everything, obviously phase one, and it's up and running.
Correct.
Other than a ceremonial flush. But what are their thoughts and what are they seeing? What are they perceiving, and how do you fit that in? I mean, obviously we have a lot in with the line and everything, and obviously we want that growth to come in to increase the revenue so that we can keep moving. Just kind of your take on that.
So we got some things right and we got some things wrong initially, and trying to predict exactly where growth will happen is anybody's guess. To answer your question, the growth management plan, we're in the process of updating. In fact, June 3rd, we have a 4-hour session to kind of look at what we did 5 years ago, Commissioner. Just based on the inquiries and the interactions we've had with development and members, we've really kind of shifted from central to western Sarpy County. That's, where the intensity is, and a lot of work with Gretna right now. We didn't project that would come in that soon. But there is a solution, I think, by the end of the month. Hopefully, I was talking to Paula yesterday. We may get their temporary solution so that they can develop about 1,100 acres over there, which I've been asking for a while. So, I'm not sure that wholly answered your question, but we're going to be reviewing that GMP and whatever modifications need to be made. And that involves the development community, Gary, to answer your question.
Okay, yeah. And the reason for that is obvious. Obviously, we want to make sure the revenues are there and every year so we can keep moving this forward and put us in a position, whereas Commissioner Kelly was saying that we can get to the other phases and do the full build out as we've always wanted to do. But we've already got a lot of money on the line, obviously, in the line. So we just want to make sure we're generating that revenue and making it happen.
Understand, sir.
Commissioner, I don't want to, I think everything Dan said is very accurate, but my personal thought is, the reason that there's so much intensity out in Gretna is because there's large acreages. There's large tracts of developable land. On the eastern side, not so much. But I think a catalyst for that's for development is, obviously going to be the Platteview Road Expressway. That's going to open up a large tract. If you just drive down 72nd now, you see a whole square mile that's going to be opening up for both commercial and residential. And I think even the Bellevue Entertainment District will probably be some sort of a catalyst for future growth on the eastern half of the county. So the one thing we know for sure is the growth is coming. Don't have a crystal ball, but I think if you talk to developers, they could give you a pretty good idea where they see it happening. And then generally that's how it happens. So.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Thank you, gentlemen. Please vote.
And you're offline. Are you in
I clicked yes. I'm an
A?
aye.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
All right, with that, we'll move to agenda item 6, the consent commissioner's agenda. Entertain a motion unless anybody would like to see anything moved to the regular agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Burmeister.
It's just a comment, real quick, on the consent agenda. I saw that Rana was on there, signing up for another term. So appreciate your public service, Rana. She was the anchor of our Veteran Service Office for so many years, and now she's coming back to give more of her time voluntarily. So thank you.
Thank you. Please vote.
Commissioner Mixon, did you vote?
I hit yes.
Okay, they're not showing up for me. I apologize. Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
All right, moving back to agenda item 7, the regular commissioner's agenda, 7.2, resolution 2025-108. Professional services agreement with Alfred Benish and Company for the construction management of the South 48th Street and Cape Hart Road intersection improvements, project C77 23-15, in the amount of $357,794. Zach.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Last week, the commissioners voted on and approved the agreement with Graham Construction for the construction of 48th and Cape Hart. That includes extending the lanes, widening them, and also traffic signals. This agreement before you today would include construction management services by Benish to oversee the construction. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple. Sure. So just on average, what should be the cost of a construction management project?
It's really going to depend on the complexity. With this one, we're probably going to see a lot more public involvement. There's a lot more traffic. The phasing is going to be a little bit more difficult. I think that's why we're seeing a higher price on this one. But similar projects, we've been in the 3 to 350 range.
For a $2 million project? So my concern is Benish is a great company, by the way, so you probably made a great choice, but I think the price is way too high. I was talking to some professional engineers yesterday, and I asked them, what's an average cost of construction management? They said it's between 8 and 10 is pretty typical, depending on the size and scope and complexity of the project. And we're at 18. So I think it's too much. This is a $2 million project, and we're going to spend another almost $400,000 for construction management. That seems very high to me. Maybe this is a bad analogy, but I understand that engineers, professional services, and people's lives could be at stake if the engineers get it wrong, and I get all that. But if I wanted to fly to Europe tomorrow, that's a professional service. Somebody's going to provide me. They're going to show up and pick me up in an airplane and fly me over to France. So if I'm sitting outside my runway in front of my house and a private jet shows up, with all the bells and whistles, or a United Airlines, 747, where I get to sit in the middle aisle and coach, and I don't have to evaluate price. I'm going to take the private jet. And you know what? It's probably going to cost me a lot more than it should because I didn't evaluate the price. If price was factored into the cost, because I'm assuming that both of these guys are going to provide, or they're both qualified. They're both going to provide me a professional service, and they're both going to be able to get me to France. But one of them's going to be able to do it much cheaper because of economy of scale, and they got hundreds of passengers on the flight, and the other one's just going to be me. So if I didn't have to worry about price, I'd take the private jet, but I do have to worry about price because I'm not spending my money, I'm spending the taxpayers' money. So I'd really like to table this item for a week so we have a chance to go back and make sure that we did this contract process correctly. Because to me, I looked into the package and there were like 6 companies in there and every one of them's familiar. And this is nothing against this company, but every company in there that bid, that put in a proposal for this is qualified to do this work. So how can I make a trade-off that says this is the best value to Sarpy County taxpayers if I don't know what they're charging? That doesn't make sense to me. So I'm not sure that we did this right or correctly. And I mean, yeah, in the big scheme of things, when we're obligating millions of dollars all the time, maybe it's not that big a deal. But it is to me, because I do contracts for a living. And I just can't imagine I could do a trade-off without knowing what the pricing, or at least some idea what the pricing is, so that I could differentiate and pick out which one of the companies that put a proposal in was actually the best value to the county. So I don't know if a week would buy us the amount of time we need to really review
We don't meet
this.
next week, so it'd be June 3rd.
Yeah.
We'll get back together.
Yeah, I mean, so this project's already behind, you know, it's definitely going to go through January. But when I looked at the proposal, there were a couple other things that just kind of, I had questions about. One of the things it said is, it's 105 working days. But then I look at the hours that are proposed for the project superintendent and others, and I go, well, that's clearly more than 105 working days. How do I get to 1,500 hours for that kind of stuff? That's 40 weeks. So, and then in the proposal, the awardee said they expected to take 27 weeks. So I got 27 weeks. I got 105 working days. It's really hard to determine what I'm paying for here.
So I will say those hours include stuff that happens before construction, like
Right.
getting utilities coordinated. We've got to talk to homeowners. I'm sure issues are going to come up during construction where we have to reach out to homeowners, or they're going to reach out to us and ask questions.
Yeah.
Those are those additional hours. And then afterwards, we'll have as-built plans and project wrap-up. That's not included in those working days.
So, I mean, if I asked everybody who's a professional engineer to raise their hand, there'd only be one raised, and it wouldn't be mine. It'd be yours. But this stuff it's not making sense to me, just from a common sense perspective. It doesn't add up.
I'll say it's not a guaranteed price.
Yeah.
We'll only pay the hours that
They work. They actually work, right?
Yes.
But who monitors that?
We do.
Zach, if we table this for 2 weeks, is it going to have a significant negative impact on the timeline of the project? Is it part of critical?
They're
planning?
planning on getting started June 2nd. So, yeah, it'll delay the project.
Can I just ask procedurally, so there were 6 statements of qualification? So do we know what the numbers are on the other, I mean, how does this work?
Unfortunately, no. The process this one went through was RFQ, so we opened it up to all the engineering firms that were interested. They submitted their qualifications, and we selected the highest qualified before we ever saw any numbers. So once we selected that firm, that's when we go in and negotiate. And I think that's something we need to work with administration on to see if we can include prices in that. Because I completely agree that'd be a better process.
You know, definitely see the lowest and best
Yep.
be the contributing factors.
Yep, absolutely.
Is that always how it's done, or is that just,
In the past, we've looked at price and qualifications.
okay.
I know we've had some discussion in the past with the county engineer that because these are professional services, they don't like fees or costs to be part of the selection because quote unquote, it's just a nominal amount of the overall cost. But in this case, it's 18%. That's not nominal. And I think that's higher than I've seen, at least personally, than we should probably be asking taxpayers to pick up the bill for. So
I just want to say on the record, administration and fiscal have always been supportive of looking at price as well, and we're happy to work with Public Works on the process moving forward.
well, I just think with price, we'll get a better trade-off, you know? I mean, all these companies, I know all these companies, you guys have all seen them. You've seen these names, you'd recognize every one of them. I'm sure they're all qualified to do this work. And so without a price, how do you evaluate the trade-off to know we're getting the best value? You can't. It's really, again, it goes back to my example. Do I get to pick the private jet because I don't have to worry about cost? I'm going to pick the private jet. But that's not what's the best, that's not the best value. The best value would be for me to get in that airline and sit in that middle seat in the back row next to the crying baby. You know, that'd be the best deal for the taxpayers, not necessarily for me, but we have to be thinking about the people that are paying the bills. And I don't know, this just doesn't seem right to me.
I will say, I know you're not exactly happy with 60th Street, but our contract with Olson is in the same ballpark as this fee with Benish.
Was it?
Yep. And I'd say that 48th and Capehart is more complicated,
All right,
especially with
so-
the traffic signals.
Here's what I recommend, Chairman. Look, I say we go ahead and vote on this thing, and then let's go back and look at the process moving forward so that we can figure out if we're getting this right. I don't want to delay this project anymore. I mean, it's already going to be an upsetting project. I can see it coming because it's really a bottleneck out of a neighborhood, and it's going to impact the lives of several thousand people for probably 6 months. And so we probably need to get it going. But let's get together, Zach, with you and the county engineer and Danielle and with administration, and let's make sure that we're doing best practices because we need to get going on this one, I think.
Sounds like a good plan. Any further discussion? To entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach. Motion by Burmeister, second by, I'm drawing a blank, Jim. Warren.
By Jim, that works.
Any further discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 4, nays Kelly, motion carried.
All right, up next, we have Resolution 2025-107, award to the low bid to Metro Driveway Replacement LLC for the Phase 2 parking lot repairs at 1102 building in the amount of $118,961.60. Beth Garber, Assistant County Administrator.
Thank you. On May 1st, the purchasing department opened 5 bids for the Phase 2 parking lot repairs. This was bid after we received the first bids that I came to you a few weeks ago. Those bids were so good, we decided to bid out Phase 2. The low bid for that was $118,961.60. The high bid for that was $220,856. Phase 2 covers the remaining portion of the parking lot, including the north and west sides. Both phases will be done by August, excuse me.
Thank you, Beth. Any questions, comments? Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Kelly. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
Up next, Resolution 2025-106, professional services agreement with Morrissey Engineering for the design of the building automation system in the amount of $118,770. Once again, Beth Garber, Assistant County Administrator.
Thank you. On March 24th, purchasing opened 2 statements of qualification for the design and selection of billing automation system or for HVAC controls for various county buildings. After review, it's recommended that the qualification or the agreement be awarded to Morrissey Engineering for $118,770. The project or the agreement includes the evaluation of our current HVAC systems, recommendations, cost estimates, drafting of bid documents, and providing support during implementation. The project will include the county courthouse, correctional center, JJC, sheriff's office, Warner Park, Public Works buildings, the 1102 building, and the 1246 building. Once complete, the HVAC systems will be under one system, which will improve our HVAC performance and allow our facilities management department to diagnose and troubleshoot easier. I can answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Beth. Any questions from the board? Seeing none, I'd
Motion approved. Second.
motion by Kelly, second by Warren. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Are you guys seeing any votes?
5 yes, 0 nays.
Okay, he's 5 nays, none motion carried.
All right, up next is Resolution 2025-112, Supply and Services Agreement with Nokia of America Corporation for microwave system connecting Sarpy County emergency communications, land-based radio system towers, and related components. Bill Muldoon, Emergency Communications Director. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Before you is a master agreement from Nokia to service our microwave system between our towers and our connection with Douglas County, the Orion system. The system's components are 10 years old, and we've been told we need a service agreement now, as the warranty that came with the original Motorola system that covered it is expired now. So for over the last year, we've negotiated with Nokia to come up with this master agreement, and then along with that is annual service costs for them to continue to service the system. Along with that is 2 statement of work. One of them is they required a software refresh to extend us this opportunity, and so that is about $76,000 that was budgeted for in this fiscal year, along with this year's service. So it'll be approximately $100,000 this year. The second part of the agreement, which is not before you, is a hardware refresh that they want next year. So we purposely had split it into 2 fiscal years, thinking we would do the software this last year, or software last year, hardware this year. And now the years are kind of coming together, so it might be just one project, but that will come under separate covered with the hardware refresh. Here to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bill. Any questions from the commissioners?
So the pending relocation, is that going to have any impact on?
No, this is the system, the towers, the infrastructure that's not moving, that has nothing to do with the new 911 center. That'll be connected to the courthouse by fiber.
Okay,
And then that's where it'll touch the microwave ring. So this is part of the tower infrastructure.
great, thanks.
Any further questions? Entertain a motion.
Motion?
Second.
Motion by Kelly, second by Warren. Any further discussion? Please vote.
Don't have a poll.
Okay, we're gonna have to go manually.
Aye.
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 Thank
He's
you.
5 nays, none motion carried.
Thank you, Bill. 7.6, Resolution 2025-115, Salary Schedules for Non-Union Unclassified and Classified Employees, Deputy County Attorneys, and Assistant Public Defenders for fiscal year 2026. Jody Riddle, Human Resources Director.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Before you have the proposed salary schedules for fiscal year 26 for non-union unclassified, non-union classified, deputy county attorneys, and the assistant public defenders. This will be a 3-year increase for fiscal year 26. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions from the board?
You said 3%, you mean?
Yes,
Okay.
3%.
And it's just a 1 year?
Yes, sir.
No questions.
Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Warren, second by Burmeister. Any additional comments or questions? Please vote.
Aye. Ayes 5, nays none, motion carried.
All right, no executive session today. All right. With that, all agenda items having been addressed as published, the Board of Commissioners is adjourned.